I'm the voice, and this is a Divi community produced video from the foundation. And this is episode 20. And we had some crazy things going on this last week. I've got Rob and I've got Neegs. How's it going, guys?
It's going good. Well, except for my my Bitcoin balance, not so great today.
It's not, is it?
Yeah, as you say, we had like the biggest hack last week, so we'll talk about that, and then some Divi news. That'll be another good
Some
episode.
Divi news, some Divi updates, something about Xeggex, a little bit of everything, right?
That's right. But let's start by what you just said, Rob.
Yeah, actually,
$86,000.
My Bitcoin balance is exactly the same. It hasn't changed at all. It's just the value of it has changed quite a
bit. Yes.
I was going to make a very
right?
bad joke, but I won't do that. So I'll keep it to myself.
Was it a dad joke?
No, it was an old Divi wallet joke where the balance was stuck and it wouldn't change. But we're so far past that. That's a bad joke. Can we make those jokes yet? I don't know.
Too soon?
Too soon?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, so it is, we don't know where we're going, obviously, but $86,000 was not on my planning now. But it is following, again, the largest hack in history, or reported as such, with Bybit, right?
Yeah. It's so bad from so many angles. And for me, it's like, we can get into the little bit of the details, but for me, it's just like the morons are gonna, I said moron and not the R word, you see, are going to say, oh, look, crypto bad, when once again, this is a fundamental issue of having custody. Like fundamentally, everything that has crypto custody is vulnerable to some degree. Now that we'll talk about the details, but there's definitely stuff you can do that they didn't do to help protect the custody. But fundamentally, like, I keep going back, like, this is not a crypto problem. Like it's not crypto itself getting hacked. It's really like whenever there's custody, there's a process of keeping it safe and so forth, and sometimes those processes get violated. Let's get into it a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So apparently, it is pretty highly up. This is what is reported. What is reported is a very highly sophisticated attack that would have impacted 3 different people in the Bybit organization with unique key for them to sign transactions. And so what is reported to have happened is that they were, while interacting with their UI, they were presented with different transactions that the one they actually approved. And the one they approved was basically giving a ton of rights to a custom wallet that allowed the hackers to drain, if I remember correctly, it's 400,000 ETH for a value of $1.4 billion. So that's pretty crazy amount. So we don't really know, obviously, if like what is true, what is not true. However, it's reported that 5 other attacks following the same kind of model happened in recent time. So it seems that it is definitely something that is growing. And what is reported also is that it ended up being by the Lazarus group, so these North Koreans that are basically responsible for all the biggest hack. And that's as you said, Rob, it could have been prevented by more secured or better processes or OPSEC processes. But unfortunately, this is something that will continue to happen because this is how custody works, right? Like,
let's get into that a little bit. So, for example, like, I think it's still safe for me to, so they're calling it blind faith and blind signing, which makes sort of sense, right? Like, on my ledger, like, I use it, and then it makes sure that I want to actually do this, and then I check the first 3 letters and the last 3 letters of the address, and they match, and I go ahead. And like, if I do that more and more, I gain confidence that it's working, and I don't have to worry about it because it's worked every time before. And so I think that's a lot. So they're using different software, right? They're not looking at ledgers. They're looking at software that does the same stuff for them. And they just, after a while, they do this every single day. And after a while, you're like, yeah. And so I think that's really what is kind of happening there. And it's super important to understand that that's what was hacked. Really,
Yeah.
is that, like they changed the interface without a way people know. It's the same kind of thing. Like you get an email and it looks just like it's coming from your bank or whatever, and then it says press this button for security, whatever, and then the login looks the same, and you log in, and now they have your password to your bank account. So
Yeah, it has a lot of
it's not that
similarities
simple, but
with
it's
that.
something along those lines where everything looks the same, but it wasn't the same.
That's right. So it's reported that they use the Safe Wallet. This is a UI tool that enable you to basically work with multi-sig, multiple parties. It is very practical, and it does give you details of the transaction. So I would assume that the details of the transaction were showing what they were expecting. So the spending transaction for an amount that I don't know, but anyway. But in fact, what they were signing was not what was displayed on their
Right.
UI, and it was an actual malicious transaction.
Well, I
Yeah.
think, so again, we had what most people don't know is we have usually a lot of conversations before we start this podcast.
Yeah, an
And
hour and a half
that's
worth.
why you might hear us hesitate at some points, because some of what we speak about is opinion, and that opinion may be based upon our past experience and assumptions on how things work. I think the main thing is that we can only really report on what has been said, but we can also express an opinion. And I think that what my opinion would be is not about how they were attacked, but an encouragement to end users. What Rob was alluding to was they were hacked, but it was also because of who they were, and it was because of the amount of cryptocurrencies that they have. They're in exchange, they're a source, which is why Satoshi wanted us to have individual control over our assets. When we give them over to a custodial party, that custodial party that is centralized, that is going to be a source that's going to be attacked, not just maybe by some change in software or an obfuscation of an address or maybe a malicious employee or something. If we have control ourselves, we sort of distribute that risk everywhere, and it becomes a lot harder for an attacker to make choices about who to attack unless you do dumb things like on social media tell everyone that you're now a Bitcoin millionaire, or that you have, so many Ethereum now, you've finally made it to your 100 Ethereum in your ledger, and you are using your personal information. When you start doing things like that, you too make yourself maybe not the Lazarus group, but maybe somebody else, a much lower tier person, can then look at you and go, hey, that could be a source. We see attacks happen that are social attacks happen in communities or groups, even where people pay funds to become members, where they then build apps. Even I've known this in the last couple of years to where people were paying monies to be part of a special group. And when they joined that group, said member built an app. And when they built that app, they all used that app and they all lost their funds. It's a similar
Yeah.
attack to what this is, except this is big money. This
Yeah.
is a lot of work. This isn't just being in a community for 6 months and then doing something. This is massive, $1.4 billion.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah,
protect yourself? You just
Yeah.
don't do things like that.
and it's always, as you say, it's always difficult, right? That's why initially we start to report what is being reported. That's
Mhm.
very hard to know, but we're all very familiar with funds are safe.
Yeah.
Um, or any statement that is being made by one of those companies that is in a
Yeah.
difficult situation. So obviously, I would assume that if they just, as you mentioned, Rob, blindsided,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and in fact there is no UI hack in the whole process and all that, maybe they wouldn't say it. Maybe it's a made up story. Like we probably will never know that. I would
Yeah.
assume. Um, but yeah, that's what they say, and we could think that's what is at the source of the market drop. However, it seems that the market drop. So first of all, maybe let's address how they answered to that. Right? They didn't
Mhm.
stop withdrawals. They didn't stop trading. They immediately guaranteed that the funds of the users would be um, guaranteed, basically, that they had enough reserve to cover for those missed funds. Binance stepped up and proposed loan of the ETH by the for the time they actually buy it back. So it was actually a very impressive reaction from the industry, and for like the biggest hack in history, not only crypto, for everything. I mean, everything we know about.
Yeah.
It is basically it has been sorted in a few hours.
It has
Yeah.
been.
So
Yeah, so
it is
that's
extremely
impressive.
impressive.
And no government bailout, none of that stuff like every other company on the planet does when they get in trouble.
Right?
Right? Like
Isn't
it was
that
just
amazing?
like nothing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
so we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. Like, maybe they fail in like 3 months or something like that because of this. Like, who knows, right? But so far, I think it's been pretty impressive.
That's right.
And that's
One
why
more
we
thing.
probably won't hear about how it actually happened. If they just absorb it or some of it gets returned or however that's happening, that's another conversation that we can have. But depending upon how that happens, they may not publicly state what it is because, of course, if they publicly state what it is, they make themselves liable, right? And which
Yeah.
could be a different situation as opposed to just eating it, right? If they are liquid enough to eat it, wow, how much profit are they making? $1.4 billion or
Yeah, that's
whatever the
incredible, isn't it?
final balance is.
That's right.
How much liquidity do
Yeah.
you have that's profitable, that's spendable, that's burnable, right? That you can use 1.4 billion of, man, that's a lot out of your kitty.
Yeah, but see, that's exactly the kind of answer you could have expected from FTX facing the same kind of situation.
Yeah.
But then, in fact, they were over leveraged everywhere. And when
Yeah.
the market crashed, they were just not able to sustain
Yeah.
the amount of withdrawals, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and we don't know if the same thing will happen to Bybit. Like
Yeah.
there is no way to know that now, right?
Yeah,
Like
It
right
could be
now,
90 days from now. Yeah.
yeah, right now they were able to at least show that they can sustain and they don't need to stop withdrawals.
Yep.
In that market, a lot of how you get out of the situation is about the narrative, right? Like if they actually stopped withdrawals, if they had created some fear, maybe it would have been different for them, right? Maybe it would have created a lot more problems for them. While now it's like nothing happened a week later.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Pretty impressive. So yeah,
That's
so
crazy.
this is not what, or it doesn't look like this is what created the market crash. The crash is actually wider than just crypto. It is also the stock market, and it is because Trump is pushing again on the tariffs. That's what
Exactly.
was
And so
published
it kind
again.
of falls into what our earlier conversation was is after the first of the year before the 20th, we were talking about where we could be, right? We're only in the second month now, leading into the third month when this will release. Will Bitcoin be up or Bitcoin be down? I'm just kidding, but still, it's serious. When we made that statement back then, there's no way to know. There's too many variables in between that 90-day period and look where we are.
Yeah.
So,
That's
All
right.
right.
Like we've been
Oh, there's
actually doing
one thing I
sideways, right?
wanted to go over. You have the article in front of you. I don't, but maybe you want to just say just to spread like some good OPSEC. Maybe somebody put some like 5 steps they could be doing that they clearly didn't do to prevent stuff like this.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
Just,
think before you start, I think it's just about knowing what were they using. They haven't really disclosed exactly what and how. It's very surface level. It is technical, but it's surface level on almost everything. Nobody's walked through the process. I'll let you go ahead and do that, Neeks, but I don't think we have enough information to know, other than you should pay the you should I almost just cursed. You should pay attention to what you're doing. That's just essentially what it comes down to.
Yeah, and it's basically for people who have set up their own staking computer. It's basically following very similar recommendation, right? So using a dedicated machine that you're not using to go on the internet with, you're not using to talk on Telegram, click links. Like you
Yeah.
really have this machine that is dedicated. Um, for people who are buying a staking machine, it's a few $100. Of course, it's something to consider, but for an exchange, it should not even be a question. Like that,
It shouldn't be a
they should
question,
have
exactly.
that dedicated machine. Like it just doesn't make sense not to have one, and you completely stop any attempt of contamination from the network, right? Like it's just not gonna happen. So
Yeah.
keep the device offline when you're not using it for signing. Um, Consider some secured operating system. They propose one, but I mean, there are several. And then use a sandbox environment for the transaction. So you don't use the native OS, but you will use a VM so that you're sure that this VM is not, contaminated because
I
it's
mean,
just
this
brand
is this
new.
is extreme stuff. That's not what the regular user will do. This is what an
No, right,
No,
exchange
right.
but
would
for
do.
multi-sig, if you have a power over potentially millions or billions of
That's what you
dollars,
need to
this is
do.
definitely something you would want to follow, right?
But it doesn't
And
even
so
have to be millions.
that's what Rob was asking. What would
Yeah.
the end user do? You're correct, 100%. Sandbox environment for everything if you can, right? Sandbox it. And then, as I would say, that's true cold. We can debate that or whatever. But you sandbox it. But the regular user, you made the good point, is all it takes is, even if you're staking, to do all of your diddly do stuff, all of your emails, all of your watching, your YouTube, all of your Netflixing it
Mhm.
is all done on your TV, or it's all done on a iPad, or it's all done on a different laptop or desktop than you're using. Because really, when you're managing your crypto, it's managing your finances. Or if you're managing it for a staking node, you have to think about this a little bit more logical than what you've been doing. It's a business.
Mhm.
And so you treat your tools with respect. And what does a tool that cost? And Neeks hit it on the head. You can start off with a crypto only device that's just a couple of $100 that will actually do all of those things for you. And it can hold your different wallets. It can actually stake. Sure, you can spend a lot more. It's entirely 100% unnecessary, but you can do that. Maybe you spend $1,000. That's great. You just have a lot of longevity going into it. But if you respect the device and don't put yourself in those kinds of situations, and then don't advertise with everyone
Yeah.
that you're walking around with your pockets heavy laden with bags of coins, with a big t-shirt that says "I own Bitcoin" on it, and then sharing your phone number, you're limiting your attack surface.
Yeah. I was actually talking about spreading like good OPSEC for businesses, because you said billions or millions. That I don't think the number matters. What matters is the amount that you're protecting critical to your business. So it could be 50,000. And like if
No,
you're
100%.
screwed if you lose 50,000, yeah, you still want to buy
Yeah,
a $700 computer and just have it be only that. So it doesn't have to be Bybit billions of dollars worth of stuff. If you're screwed without that money, then you should be protecting it that way.
I
And
agree.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right. They actually have even a higher level for if you manage like such bigger wallets, and they're talking about end-to-end encryption, like really much higher level stuff.
yeah,
This is actually considered basics for anyone who has a multi-sig
right,
wallet to protect.
yeah. All right, let's move on.
Cool. So let's
Xeggex.
talk about some news about Divi, right?
Yeah.
So Xeggex. So maybe you want to talk about it, Voice.
Sure. Obviously, a lot of people have been asking us questions about Xeggex, and I get the DMs, and yes, some people do try to DM me. When it's going to open. I think most of what we've been seeing has been discussed, or at least uh, uh, written about on their Twitter account. They have, of course, still closed down their Discord. There's not a lot of chatting in there. But what we have seen is that everyone has been able to submit their claims. The biggest thing about claims is that you should, of course, put in the addresses as you recall, right? You should know, at least if you sent a deposit in, you should have record of that address. If you moved it from an exchange, let's say if you move something from a Sendex or Bitrue to Xeggex, you might have the transaction history for that. So you might have an address. Communicate with them clearly. I did for the foundation. It was very easy for me. They did have a couple of hurdles where it showed an error last week when they opened up. That has been resolved, and so those are going through. And just so you're all aware that if you did get that error, they did actually receive your messages. So it's just kind of a bug that they had, and they are on top of it. I've only heard of one user so far that had to resubmit their claim because they just didn't have enough information or had the wrong email address. I'm not entirely clear, but they went ahead and had done that. And the other thing that we noticed is that somebody, obviously we're guessing, but it looks like somebody was able to log in and then move their funds off of the exchange. That was in Divi. So things look like they're starting to move in that direction. Is there anything else you think you'd like to add to that, Neeks?
No, I think it's a good summary. I'll just add that we've seen progressive return of their operations. So
Correct.
first, they gave very far in between time, like they were probably like gave every 2 days some information, so it was pretty difficult. The doubt was there, but then they started to answer more clearly, explain what happened. They put in place a portal for people who weren't able to recover their account. They added a new button for people who had the problem with the buttons, and then they restarted or reactivated the comments on their Twitter. So
Correct.
for those who don't have access back to their account, which I still don't, I think it is still sounding like it is. These are great steps. I have never
Correct.
seen a team running away with the bank and doing that much effort to hide
Yes,
what they were doing.
sticking around and getting
So-
it working. Yes, that.
So as long as
usually
we
doesn't
don't
go
have the
well.
money, we don't have the money, but it is looking pretty good. So we're pretty confident that it will move forward properly. So that's good.
All right.
Cool. And we
All
can
right,
talk
John.
about
We got some website stuff, right?
the TV website. I think you've both seen it. Maybe you want to
Yeah.
talk about it, Rob. Like how do you feel about this website?
It looks pretty good. Yeah. It's funny you're asking me.
Yeah, I didn't realize it when I asked.
Sorry, we're laughing from something from before this. But no, I think it's a vast improvement. It's way more relevant. Needs a little bit of like touch-ups, but other than that, it's pretty solid.
The reason why we laugh when he asked Rob is colorblind, so everything on the website to him is brown.
Now he chose weird colors like brown and green. I don't get it.
Brown and green, you can't see it exactly. I think it looks looks fresh. That's
Yeah,
what
that's what I
say.
was
It
gonna
looks
say.
fresh and modern, right? I think that's what we've been missing for a while.
That's right.
Yeah.
It is fresh. It focuses on the sidechain. I think that's also why there was this laugh, because all we're doing is still like in partnership, like with our partner, and that website is basically like putting in front of everybody that direction. And we're always kind of uncomfortable to talk too early when things aren't done, and you're all aware of the situation that we're working with the partner that is raising on the side. And so I guess that's why this topic was coming. But this is really, I think, a major change for Divi. If you look at the current website, you will see that while there is information, it is not looking attractive at all. This new website will look attractive. It will center on the sidechain and the future benefit that they will bring to Divi. And yeah, I think it would be a big change. So we're kind of reviewing that Figma design. We talked about that last time. It's basically where they build the model for what will be on the website later. And it is not final, but whenever it's final, we will make an article and publish that on the blog. It will probably be before this episode, or we'll probably push that around the same time as this episode will go live next week. So you'll be able to see what's coming before it gets live, and then after it's just a few weeks for the work to be done. However, given the market situation, we will not push the things when it's not the right time. It would be a waste. Instead, we will keep that on the side to basically push that at the right moment when the market recovers.
So, for me, it's always like when I was an engineer, I couldn't stand when the marketing department would say something that we would do in the future. But in my older age, I'm like, yeah, that's what's done. So, the website talks about side chains, but we're waiting. We have to. It's a process. Much like, but then I look at other chains, what. Even when Cardano was going through its process, they talked about things, showing up in at different milestones, and that's really what this is. Like this, we're waiting on the partner. That the milestone is when the partner is ready to deploy. That's our milestone.
Right.
So I mean, it is what it is. That's how this works. We want more people in here. They want the website clearly shows our direction now. So that's good.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Exactly.
And then it leads us to the marketing. So I actually want to say that because a lot of times Renuk has received a lot of flag, but Renuk has been helping me for free on his free time to contact several marketing agencies. We work together to secure different offers. Initially, we received things that were more oriented to press release. And while it is valuable, we think that now we need something that is more growth hacking. So more direct to the users, influencer activity, potentially some activity in engagement and all that. And so basically we asked to have a strategy that was more oriented towards that. And they came back to us with some very interesting offer. And we also received an offer from another agency, which immediately went into that direction and proposed some KOLs, some specific KOLs and all that. KOLs is influencers, people on Twitter or people on YouTube. And so, so it looks very interesting. We'll also communicate about that. Probably release an article around the video when the video will go out too, so that we can talk about all that. As I think we talked about it last time, but I asked for offers from 15,000 to 30,000. So we raised, thank you everyone again. We raised a little bit more than 16,000 after conversion for the marketing campaign. And the idea is to see what we can afford with that and how good could it be if we were to raise more and organize a new effort towards getting those other things. If they're really a game changer, I thought that it would be a good process, and we'll be able to communicate about all that. Cool. Treasury?
That's good.
Anyone wants to talk about Treasury?
I'll do it.
Pardon?
So we've been talking about the Treasury, which is now up to 26 million Divi. Up until recently, it was pretty much constantly drained with nothing in it. So now we have a little bit of a war chest that we can use for stuff in the future. But right now, what we're going to see, so we want to use that to help, pay people to build stuff, especially when there's side chains. We want to reward people for doing stuff. So there's a lot of reasons to have a kind of a war chest like that. But we actually want to talk about how that's going to go forward. In the past, we've always talked about having voting. We still don't have a good DAO voting system in place. And so we're going to continue voting on stuff. Again, the three of us, we don't control really anything. We kind of organize stuff, and other people can organize stuff. So we're trying to organize a way for preparing so that we can pay for stuff. One of the things we'd like to do is move the 26 million Divi from the wallet, from the address it's in, into a wallet that will be used for staking. We'll probably set up a kind of a conversation on that, and then eventually have a vote for it. And so that will have it earn money, doesn't stake right now. It also takes, it takes it out of a, like we talk about Bybit, like having this giant amount of money. It's a target when it's always in one place like that. So we'd like to move it. It'll all be transparent, but there'll be a vote on whether we should move that or not. Is there anything else about the move you guys want to add?
I was just going to say that it'd be put into a vault. That would be the key thing. So
yeah, right.
That's right.
Into a staking something, but yeah, vault is where it'll go, of course.
Correct.
And so we had this conversation again before bringing it here, and we did collect some feedback. So there were some questions about what would be the impact on those who are already staking, and it is a valid concern.
It is.
We do believe the impact is minimal because, again, it's like 26 million over. I think staking right now is probably around 2.5 to 3 billion, right? So
exactly.
So it is marginal. However, in the end, we believe it will serve the benefit of everybody, right? Because if the foundation can pay for more things, I think it is very important. One thing that I wanted to say is that there is no intention to spend this money right now.
Correct.
It is any spending would go through a vote. However, we also want to initiate a secondary vote, which would enable us to convert some of these 26 million Divi if the marketing strategy and all we are doing is prove successful. It could enable the foundation to pay for more marketing, to pay for more advanced, potentially some more development. So it would be something that would be beneficial. So those two votes will be coming. And as you said, Rob, like we will bring this conversation first, but we will not be able, I think, to carry this vote in the snapshot platform due to the bridge not being available right now.
Yeah,
correct.
So I don't think you need Ethereum Divi to do it, and we're just gonna put a Telegram poll up or something like that. It's not gonna be super formal, and so. And later, once again, maybe later when we have side chains, we can actually, implement something that allows us to do that. But right now, we're going to keep it so that you don't need to do something special. Anybody who's actually part of our community can just vote on this. And,
correct. I think that would be good.
That's right. And all of that will be transparent. If there is any conversion that's being done, it will be reported. Again, no spending to buy anything will happen without a vote and a prior conversation. So
correct.
I think this is important to clarify.
I think the biggest selling point is it won't impact anything noticeable for what we are all participating in. We're talking about a fraction of percents based upon just the competition currently with vaults and even some more vaults coming online soon. The fact is that that's minimal, but the benefits are enormous because it helps build back into features, functions, opportunities that benefit every single participant and every single owner of Divi. It's what the Treasury was made for. And it's very similar process to the way certain treasuries work for other chains or other super blocks. It goes back into things such as helping third parties build options for us as a community who want to create new, even technologies. It's just beneficial all the way around. Anyway, I don't want to sell it. It's just a fact. If you look at it, it's nothing but a saleable point.
Yeah.
And one question, sorry, just one question we had, one last question we had about this was some confusion that approving this would basically send the money to the partner for use. This is absolutely not related, right? The partner is a
No.
separate entity.
Mhm.
We represent the sidechain for Divi, right? We don't represent the sidechain for the partner. We're working very closely with the partner, obviously, but that is really for Divi. That wouldn't have any relation with the partner. That
Correct.
would be solely for Divi.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. So when I say partner, that's a different partner, but the partners we could have could include wallet vendors. It could be
Sure.
businesses building out other opportunities. That's what this Divi is for. It's to
That's right.
incentivize people to build things. And so when I say it benefits us all, if you've got an idea when the time comes, you propose it to the DAO. And of course, if that's the time when we're starting to do some sort of community distribution of funds through the DAO, from that, that's how you can participate, right? That's the great thing
And
about
even that
having a
can come to
treasury
vote,
like
right?
that.
Are we starting to provide grants, or are we
Correct.
waiting for a different market situation? I mean, in that situation, I would obviously vote to keep strengthening the treasury, because
Correct.
there will be harder times, and so, like, in the market, I mean, we have to make sure the treasury is able to withstand the next bear market, which is something that we believe was not executed the best the previous times. And so yeah, but again, these are conversations that needs to happen. So anyone who is concerned, bring the conversation to the group. We don't have uh, uh, like dictatorship over any of that. That's really why we're
No.
asking the community.
Yeah.
It is
Trying
a
to avoid that.
community-led project, and we really want it to be like that.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's it. I don't really. So you'll
Yep.
see those votes coming, and that's pretty much it. We want to make sure everything is as transparent as possible, and if people are having a problem that we're not foreseeing, then speak up. Make sure you let us know.
And,
Absolutely.
and I
Absolutely.
and I want to thank Rob today, because he has been in Hong Kong last week, and now he's in Denver for one event in Hong Kong and now a new event in Denver, and he is basically putting that recording in one of the mornings where he has a little bit of time, and he's probably very jet lagged, and
He's
and I really want
tired.
to thank him for being here and
Yes.
making that video.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
All
Cool.
right.
We appreciate
I
you.
think that's it.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Bye, guys.
See you
everyone.
next time. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye
Bye-bye.
now.